It's time to step out of toxic relationships at home and at work. My name is Amy Ballantyne. Welcome to Power to the People Pleasers. I'm so excited to have my guest Denise here. Welcome, Denise.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it's going to be a great chat. Very important discussion today. Before we jump into that, I always like to find out from the guest, have you ever been a people pleaser? And if so, how did that show up in your life?
Yes, I was raised by a mother that required me to be a people pleaser, and unfortunately, it made me a magnet for men that could control me because I was
Mm,
so busy trying to please everybody else, I didn't even know who I was. So I went through a lot of abusive relationships
mm,
because of that. So after I did my healing journey and got rid of that, I'm married to a wonderful man now. But yes, being a
mm.
people pleaser, you kind of put out that energy, and then people come at you that they know they can control you.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing. So before we dig into all of the valuable information that I know you're going to share today, I want the audience to know a bit more about you. Denise is a life coach and author, and she's committed to empowering women to rebuild their lives with confidence and self-love. She has over 30 years of overcoming personal adversities, including toxic relationships, and leverages her experiences to inspire and guide women on their paths to recovery. Her book, The Book on Loving Yourself, stands as a beacon of hope, offering practical tools for healing and empowerment. And I'm so glad you're here today. So thank
I'm
you.
Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you so much, Amy. There's just so much I want to do for women that I had a coach. She totally changed my life. And that's one
Mm,
of the reasons I became a coach is I want to pay it forward. It's
wow.
just there's so many women that just don't know their value and know how much they're worth. So I'm here to help anybody and everybody. I want to make a difference like my coach did.
Well, I'm sure that you already are, especially with the work that you're doing. So,
Mhm.
how did writing the book on loving yourself, become part of your healing process?
Well, that was very well. I realized I took a class on how to write this, and then as I was writing it, I kept finding stuff here and there, and on other computers, and this and that, and it was like, I guess I've always wanted to do this. There's bits of information here and there. So since I took the class and got a really great outline and how to do things, I started, and then it was just as I went through it. One of the best parts about it was towards the end of the book, it was in editing. The Lord spoke to me and gave me some insight about my mom, who I'd pretty much forgiven probably 98%. But he reminded me she had lost a child before me. And so that might have been why she was as cold as she was. Anyway, long story short, I called the editor and I said, "Stop the press. we have
Oh,
we have to add that in. I have to give her some credit." So that was like the final thread of just, ah, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not mad at her anymore. I realized, when I had forgotten the baby was born before me and had lived 9 months. So I'm sure that probably ripped her heart out. So anyway, the
yeah.
book just writing it healed me of that, but also a lot of the stuff that my coach taught me is in this book
Oh,
because it
incredible.
was just plain life skills that I didn't know, boundaries, affirmations, values, things that I wasn't taught. So
Mm,
just the book alone is very helpful. There's little takeaways at the end of the chapters. And then I'm also a cancer survivor, and the last chapter is on cancer, how I survived it. And there's a bunch of healing scriptures that they can go to on my website.
wow. Wow. Thank you. And so, in your experience, what are some of the subtle red flags that people often miss when they're in a toxic relationship?
Oh, well, let's see. Part of it is, so many women, they don't realize a lot of them are codependent. They try to fix the other person. So, unless that person is showing you the respect that, but here's the thing, Amy, if you don't love yourself, it's hard to see those red flags. It's really
Hmm.
hard. But once you get to where you really love yourself, you will see someone that is trying to manipulate you or talk down to you or make you doubt yourself. there's unfortunately I lived with a narcissist for 6 years, and
Mm.
it almost broke me. And luckily, when I got out and found my coach and a therapist, it took me a couple years to heal.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest thing right now is they need they have to tell the truth. If you catch them in one lie, there's probably going to be more. So a very healthy relationship is people open up and they bond. And you don't have to tell your whole life story immediately, but you do need to be as honest as you can. And women, if you're into a relationship and you want it to be something permanent or committed, you need to tell them up front. Maybe the second or third date, because don't waste your time or theirs. Because if they're not somebody that's going to commit and that's your dream, then say something.
Mhm. Wow. So I'm curious, what was the catalyst for you in finding the coach? Like how we can get to that place so other people listening might be like, it's time for me to find a coach.
Well, part of it was after my last relationship, many failed ones. And I didn't just date him, I married him. I was married a bunch of times. Not proud of it, but hey, if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to keep repeating it. So the last one, I fell to my knees and I said, Lord God, what am I doing wrong? And I heard a little whisper said, you're looking outside of yourself for love. And that's when I realized I I didn't love myself. And just God, as wonderful as He is, put this woman at a woman's luncheon, my
Mhm.
coach, Martha, who was a new coach, handed me her business card and said, if you need anything, call me. And about 3 weeks later, I had a issue at work and I called her and I was coaching with her ever since. So she's
Mhm.
since gone to heaven, but she was my mentor and I told her she was my adopted mom.
Ah,
But just when you hit a really low place and you don't know where to go, that's a good spot. Another way, as she explained it to me, and many coaches say the same way, if you're here and you want to be here, we help bridge the gap for you to get
mhm,
from one place to the other.
mhm.
So you don't have to be totally broken by any means if you just want to be a better version of yourself, or if you're
Yeah.
tired of playing small. Coaches are helpful.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you also mentioned earlier that you had a therapist and a coach, and there's value in both of those resources, right? So
Right.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. So let's talk about self-love. What does that look like in everyday actions for people who need to develop more of that?
Self love. um, One of the first things I do with my clients is I have them take them through a self care program.
Mm,
I give them like 100 different things. One of mine favorite is bubble bath or lighting
mhm,
candles. Just
yeah,
something for yourself. Women give so much of themselves away that sometimes we're emotionally bankrupt.
mhm,
It's great to be a giver, but at the same time, if your cup is empty, you can't serve from the overflow. So my thing
mhm,
is start putting stuff into your own cup, and that's not selfish, it's essential.
mhm,
So I would start with self-care, just doing one or two things for yourself. And I have a couple clients that I just gave them a little mini course, 3 weeks, and every one of these girls, between the self-care, the affirmations, and values, when they
mhm,
learned what their values were, they picked out of a list, they were able to align their decisions with those values. It makes it
mhm,
easier if you know
mhm,
exactly what your values are. So
mhm.
I think the biggest one for women is, don't keep looking out to help everybody. Look in, and it's okay to help you. God wants you to help yourself. If you don't love yourself, you really can't love somebody else. You can't give something you don't have.
Yeah, it's such a powerful reminder. We hear this all the time, right? But it's when that realization finally smacks you in the face hard enough that you go, "Oh, wait a second, I think it's time."
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Sometimes,
So,
we just have to fall down hard and then it's like,
mhm,
okay, and then we look up.
yeah, yeah. So, in addition to the self-care, are there other practical exercises that from your coaching or your book you feel valuable to share for individuals who they want to step out of the toxic relationship and they're listening to this audio right now?
Well, another one is boundaries. So many people don't know about boundaries. And boundaries are like an invisible fence that kind of keeps you secure on the inside. It's not like it keeps other people out. But I know when I learned some boundaries, how to say no. No is a complete sentence, and you do not have to give an explanation.
Mhm.
Or you can say things like, I can't commit to that. But when people learn boundaries, they start realizing, number one, they're being more committed with their own time. They're not giving it away, but also you'll see some toxic friends. I know when I started doing that, I realized some of these people were using me. So I highly recommend doing boundaries. Affirmations is another thing I'm big on, and affirmations actually uh, change the neural pathways in your brain. I mean, even though you're repeating the same thing and people are like, oh, you're just saying the same thing over again. Yes, you are, but you are creating new neural pathways in your brain, and eventually your subconscious is going to believe it. I
Mhm.
remember when I first, like I said, I fell on my knees and I remember doing an affirmation saying, I am a good person. And I just burst into tears. It took 2 weeks of looking in the mirror and saying that until I truly, truly believed it. I knew I was a good person, but for it to get into my soul and my heart, it took that long.
Yeah. And I think sometimes I'm a big fan of all of these things that you're talking about as well. Sometimes people overcomplicate the affirmation.
Hmm.
So, what guidance do you give people who are like, I don't even know where to start on that?
Okay. Well, one of the things with affirmations, the most powerful way you can start it is I am, and that is from God. He says I am. So if you say I am enough. I am a good person. I deserve to be happy. You don't have to use I am on everything, but just say it. And then I truly believe, I'm blanking on her name. She does mirror work. She's passed on, and I'm so sorry. I just blank.
It's okay.
uh, but I do mirror work where I look in the mirror, and I highly recommend that. You're going to brush your teeth, you're going to comb your hair. You might as well do something in addition to
Yeah.
that, and just start saying these affirmations. You,
Mhm.
um, I am beautiful. I'm God's child, just whatever you need to say. Now, if somebody's been putting you down and using some derogatory stuff, try to find the positive of that and start saying that.
Mm.
So if somebody says you're stupid, say, I'm intelligent, I'm smart. It's just small things. And I know it sounds so simple, and it is simple. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars for some kind of earphones or this or that. You can just do it with your mouth, but it will work. It just takes practice, and once you will eventually start to believe what you're telling yourself, because your neural
Yeah.
pathways will open up. Our brains have that neuroplasticity where they can change and mold and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I would add on when you were talking about the bathroom, one of the things that I did when I was doing some of my own self-work, because listen, we're all on a journey, right, of development
Right.
and my own struggle, I wrote some messages in whiteboard marker on my bathroom mirror and yes, make sure it's whiteboard marker and not permanent marker, but the support that that offered me was it was keeping it top of mind. It was
Hmm.
keeping the new goal of speaking more kindly to myself and being more loving to myself right in my face.
Right.
Because if it's not a habit yet, it may just, pass you by. So a sticky note or some kind of message that allows you to remember that this is a priority. I'm a big fan of that. So, how do you help women rebuild their confidence after years of criticism or emotional challenge?
Well, part of it, again, is they start off with self care. I mean, half of these women have done nothing for themselves. They've just been
Mhm,
so busy morphing into what somebody else wanted. They don't even know who they are. Truly,
mhm,
that was my story. I didn't even know who I was when I finally got out of that narcissistic relationship, because I had bent over backwards to be whoever they wanted me to be.
mhm.
So, one of the things besides self care and affirmations and boundaries is, of course, you need to also evaluate who you're with as far as your group of friends. Are they uplifting? Are they inspiring you, or are they pulling you down? Because when you're starting to heal, you really have to put some parameters up of this is what I want. I am focused on healing and I'm going to do the work. And that's the other thing. You have to do the work, whether it be going through the lessons of values, going through the lessons of boundaries and learning how to do them. When I had my coach, I would go to her with my homework and I'd be like, oh, here it is. And still trying to people please. And
Yeah.
she's, honey, that was for you. I don't need to see it. But
Yeah.
I was so hungry to heal that
Mm.
I just, I couldn't get enough. And then once I did, it was like, I have to share this with people
Mm.
because my life is full. I love myself. I love my life. And I had the book to help me get there because once I finished the
Yeah.
book, it was like, I want to be a coach. I want to help women get where I'm at. And I'm very happy to say that a couple of the ladies that I coached, and they were pro bono, one of them has just reached out to me from a woman's campus where she and her daughter are safe. So,
Mm.
and thanking me that I believed in her before she believed in herself, and that I told her she was stronger than she said. I never knew I was that strong. You kept telling me I was. So, those are the things that I do to help women, but it also just makes my heart just totally expand when I see that they've actually benefited and gotten results that I knew that they could.
Yeah, I sometimes the opportunity we have as coaches is to hold the space of what we know to be true for that other person, right? Hold
Right.
the knowledge that they are stronger than they think, and continue to help them develop the neural pathway by repetition, those positive words of encouragement. So, what is the biggest transformation that you've witnessed in a client who stepped out of toxicity and embraced self love?
Well, of course, the girl that called me from the campus, because after I trained her, she ghosted me for weeks, and I was just like, I wonder what happened. I've been praying for her. Anyway, she had some issues that she had to get where she's at, where she's safe. So that was
Mhm.
huge. But one of the other ones, toxic workplace. You mentioned it earlier. Oh my gosh, Amy, it's all over the place. Two of my clients, one of them is still stuck there, and I tried to give her things uh, that would help her. Actually, I just did a video this morning on boss boundaries, where you wouldn't be confrontational, but you could give them some boundaries. The other one, I'm very proud of her. She stepped out. She's like, I'm not going to take this from anybody. And
Mhm.
she was able to step out, find another job, and move on because she felt like they were definitely taking advantage of her. Besides all the whispering and other stuff that goes on in a toxic office, she felt like her work was invisible. She was doing great work, but she wasn't getting any credit for it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, there are challenges, all over the place, whether it's work and home. I'm curious when you think about supporting, maybe there's someone in a workplace right now who is feeling like it's a toxic environment. If they have any influence to change it, what are some strategies that they could implement to improve that energy?
Well, what I would say is number one, when you step out of that place, you put all your focus on you. You're the boss of you after that. You clock out or leave the office. Don't you don't have to you don't have to take a call or a text from them. It just depends on your position. If you're too high up, sometimes you do. But the other thing is, as I recommended to one of the girls, was put something on your desk. I know I have this from years ago, and it just says, "When I kneel before God, I can stand up to anyone." Because I was in a really a toxic workplace. So a toxic relationship can be a male female, or it can be a boss. Because I went from one narcissistic boss, from the narcissistic relationship to a female narcissistic boss, but I was able to cope because I wasn't vested. I wasn't in love with her by any means.
Mhm.
But so make your environment kind of where you walk in there and kind of calm yourself. Have a plaque, an angel, a pretty picture. When you go home, make sure you connect with your really good friends. Also, off avoid any kind of office gossip because in the end, that is going to come back and get you. So
Mhm.
know who your true friends are if you have any at the office, and just and the other thing is if it gets really bad, you need to start documenting everything because at some point if you have to go to HR, you need to have some documentation, times and dates.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's an important part for the workplace. So, As we come to the end of our conversation here, is there any message that you want to share from your book or from your coaching that you haven't yet shared that you feel would be valuable for individuals maybe who have connected to this desire to step out of the toxic relationship?
Well, the main thing is you are valuable. You are worthy. You need to realize and look inside yourself and forget all the lies that people have told you over the years and start pleasing yourself. You deserve it. You 100%. When your light shines, other people see it. And when your cup is full, you can serve from the overflow. You actually have more to give when you learn to love yourself. You actually have more to give. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. When you're full, you just kind of, it just seeps out and people see it and feel it. And I just want people to realize they are worthy. And the buy the book if you want to. It's got little takeaways in the back. I also, I'm not sure if Amy's going to have I think my website's going to be on here,
Yep.
DeniseAnnWillis.com. You can reach out to me. I would love to chat with you. I'm here to help all women, as many women as I can. And I will talk to you and pray with you and hold your belief of who you really are in my heart, even before you believe it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So, you also mentioned that you're giving away a free vital affirmations for rebuilding self worth, a guide there. So I will make sure that that is dropped into the show notes as well as your website and your social media, so individuals can connect with you after. It was truly a pleasure to get to know you and chat with you today, and thank you for the work you're doing in the world.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much.
And to all of our listeners, I want to thank you once again for choosing Power to the People Pleasers as the podcast that's supporting your growth and development. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Power